Hi, my name is Sean Haler, and I am a data scientist at Elder Research. Today I'm going to walk through a solution to Advent of Code 2024, Day 2. In it, I'm going to highlight the use of some Boolean variables, as well as some Boolean functions like the any function and the all function. What you see before you is the input for problem Day 2. Each line consists of a report, and each report consists of a series of numbers or a sequence of numbers. And each number in the sequence is called a level. The goal of the problem is to determine which reports are safe and which ones are not safe. And a report is considered safe if it is 1, strictly monotonic, meaning it is always increasing or always decreasing. And 2, if it is what the problem calls gradual, meaning that it doesn't increase or decrease too quickly. So the jump between the two numbers should be no more than 3. You can test both of these requirements by transforming the original sequence in the report into what I'll call a difference sequence, or a sequence of differences. I'll take the first two values of the first report and subtract the first from the second and get a -1. Take the next two values, subtract the second from the third, get a -2, and so on down the line. Now note all the values are negative in this case, and that means that the original sequence is strictly decreasing, which you can kind of observe as well. Additionally, all the values are less than or equal to 3, or the absolute value of all the values are less than or equal to 3, so it satisfies both the first and the second requirement, and therefore this report is safe. If we create the difference sequence for the second report, it looks like this. However, it's problematic in that it does not satisfy the second requirement because it is not gradual. Here are the different sequences for the rest of the reports, and whether or not they are safe can be found by looking at the different sequence and seeing the problematic value in each one. So there are 2 safe reports, which is what we're trying to solve in the problem. All right, let's look at some code. I am using Python 3.9.12, and I'm also using the logging module because I like it, and you should probably use it too. All right, as I said, I'm going to talk about Boolean values and the any function and the all function. So this first part, I'm reading in the problem input, and I'm going to override it with the testing input, which I have written right here. And I read that into a value called reports. I then define a couple functions, one called isGradual and the other is isMonotonic. And they both return a Boolean value. That means either true or false. And I'll jump back into those in just a minute. I'm going to go back down a little bit and show you how they're used. So I'm going to loop through all my reports. I'm going to create that difference sequence like I did on the slide. And then I'm going to test if they satisfy both conditions, both the isGradual condition and the isMonotonic condition. If both of these things return true, then I'll add 1 because the report is safe, and then I'll output the number of safe reports. I'm going to go ahead and run this so you can kind of see here's the report, and here is the different sequence that it created. So these different sequences are the things that I'm passing into the isGradual and isMonotonic functions. So let's go take a look at those. In the isGradual function, I want to make sure that all the values have an absolute value less than or equal to 3, so I just do strictly less than 4. That should work because they're all integers. Anyway, loop through that. This should return true or false, and I'm just going to save that true or false, that Boolean value, and create a list of all the Boolean values in here. I am then going to pass that list into the all function. The all function will return true if all the values in the list are true. If one of the values happens to be false, then the all function will return false. And whatever gets returned by the all function gets returned by my isGradual function. Ismonotonic is similar. I'm going to use the all function again. Here I'm testing whether all the values are positive or whether all the values are negative. Each all function is going to return a true or a false, and then combine them using the OR function here. And if both sides are false, this OR will return a false, which will get returned by the isMonotonic function. If at least one of the sides is true, isMonotonic will return true as well. Okay, let's go ahead and run this on the actual input. My actual input looks like this. This is my input file. It goes on for a while. But let's go ahead and see how it does. There are 534 safe reports, which was the solution for me for this problem. All right, let's take a look at part 2. Again, we have the same input, and we are also trying to determine whether a report is safe or not. However, the conditions there have changed just a little. We have an added condition that one of the values in the report can be completely ignored. If we look at report 4 here, if you ignore the first value, you end up with this subsequence. If you ignore the second, you end up with this subsequence, and then so on down the line. You need at least one of these subsequences to satisfy the conditions 1 and 2. And if one of them is strictly monotonic and gradual, then the whole report will be deemed safe. So you can see the only two that satisfy both conditions 1 and 2 are the second and the third, but I only need one, and since at least one is safe, then the whole report will be safe. If I take a look at report 3, here are the subsequences that it generates. However, all of them are not safe. They're all strictly monotonic because they're all decreasing. However, the jump between two levels is always has one jump more than 3. Because there are no safe subsequences, then the whole thing is deemed not safe. Here are the results of the other reports for the conditions of this part of the problem. And again, we just count up the number of safe reports, which is 4. Jumping back to the code, everything is pretty much the same until you get down to where I'm testing reports. I'm going to create a subsequence of results where I'm sorry, let me say that again. It is a list of results from the subsequences like I had on the other page. I'm going to create each subsequence here by dropping one of the values. I'm then going to create the difference sequence from that subsequence, as I did in the first part of the problem. And then I'm going to test whether those difference values are gradual and whether they are monotonic. And I'm going to save the result of this, which will be true or false, into the subsequence results. Let me go ahead and run that. So you can see here this is the report that we looked at on the other slide. Here's my original sequence. Here are the results of the 5 subsequences. This was the result where I dropped the 1. This was the result where I dropped the 3, and so on. And so I'm looking at this thing, and I need at least one of those to be true. So I can take that list and pass it into subseq results here, and I pass it into the any function. The any function does exactly what I need it to do. It returns true if at least one of the elements is true. Otherwise, it will return false if they're all false. Now, Boolean values can be treated as 1s and 0s as well. So true has a value of 1 and false has a value of 0. So when any returns true, it will add 1 to the number of safe solutions that I've found. If any is false, it will add 0, and so I won't count it. Again, you can see that I have 4 safe reports, which is what I wanted. And let's go ahead and run this on the actual input so you can see that. And I get 577 safe reports. Well, that should do it. Thanks so much. As I said, my name is Sean Haler, and I'm a data scientist at Elder Research. At Elder Research, we love Advent of Code, and we love solving problems like we find in Advent of Code. If you are interested in joining us and helping us solve problems like that for our clients, please check out the links in the description, or you can go to our website at elderresearch.com. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you found it enlightening.